How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, and tonight we are going to be doing another review, this time on the band W.M.D, aka When Minds Develop, and their new album, Lethal Revenge. Now, if you don't know who W.M.D are, they are a thrash band, a Canadian thrash band from Calgary, Alberta. The members of the band are Skylar Mills, who's on vocals and guitar, Brody Blaze on guitar as well, Nolan Benedetti on drums, and Jake Axel Wendt on bass. Now, the vocals for this album were kind of like a high to medium pitched, raspy thrash style. They were performed pretty well and consistent. He had great projection. Kind of also had that old school heavy metal feel to it. And there's even some kind of like falsetto style shouting in there. And volume wise, it was about the same level as the guitar in the mix. So yeah, really decent stuff from Skylar Mills on vocals. The guitars had a fairly crisp, clear tone with some crunch and light distortion. They had some really groovy, fast power chord riffs. Some great gallop style riffs and some chugs. There's some multi-string single note plucked note riffs there, some good shredding, and basically they were just bombastic and energetic overall. Really good guitar playing, kind of multi tricks up their sleeve when it comes to riffage and stuff like that for Lethal Revenge. The bass, which was actually audible in this release, which is nice for a change, because a lot of reviews I do, I can't really pick up the bass, either because there's none recorded or because they're just so low in the mix. But this one was clean, kind of clunky, plucky sounding, and maybe some slight gain in there. The bass was punchy and definitely percussive style of bass notes. Pretty mean sounding too, kind of has its own voice in the mix, performed really well, and the bassist is obviously quite talented. Lots of really good bass licks in there. I just added a nice overall punch to the general sound as well. Now for the drums had a sturdy double kick throughout, some great gallops in there. The snare was punchy and very well pronounced. There's a good use of hi-hat and cymbal work throughout the album. There was some well-placed fills, some great performance in general, and again, the drummer has those nice like tingy bell rides that I enjoy, and he was pretty precise overall. Now, as for the tracks on here, some of my favorites were number 5, The Toxic Burn, number 9, Virus, and number 4, The Age of Extinction. The Age of Extinction had this really sick drum intro to it as well, so if you're going to check out a track, check out those. My overall thoughts on this album was it was a wild, fast-paced, groovy thrash fest with some melodic and slower pit stops along the way. W.M.D definitely add a fresh take on an old school sound and kind of give it a life of their own. Not just your average, meat and potatoes thrash band. These guys aren't afraid to spice it up and add a few left turns here and there. So overall, I would give this album an 8 out of 10. The only weaknesses or improvements I could see in this was some of the longer songs seemed a bit too long. Could have benefited from a bit of trimming. Examples being the Brazen Bull song and the Lethal Revenge self-titled track. I felt they probably could have benefited from focusing more on kind of like catchy choruses and stuff, and maybe not so much like zeroing in on technicality. Slower parts seem to be reserved more for like bridges and atmospheric purposes. I would have liked to hear some, slower mid-pace hooks. halfway point of the Brazen Bull song was actually pretty cool, and I like what they did there. So, yeah, maybe in the future they could really up the game by incorporating some of that. But yeah, W.M.D. with Lethal Revenge, really, really great Canadian thrash band from Calgary. Like I said, 8 out of 10. Just straight up crazy thrash with its own little twist. I'm Jesse Morgan, and I would buy this album. For Glory, for the Rebellion, Slimerella out.